One. We're live in the MuseCast, episode 31, where Ash is
Episode
going to talk
31.
all about the what? What the heck was it?
Well, I mean, the first thing to mention that's just interesting and random, and it leads to a deeper conversation is so Facebook had its huge dropout on Super Tuesday, which is an major election day. That's what Super Tuesday is. You can definitely look into some conspiracy concepts with that. I mean, the timing of that is very interesting. My understanding is, even certain, candidates couldn't log into accounts and promote the way that they would for getting people out of the ballot box. But the interesting, and you got locked out of
I
you
did.
couldn't
It
log
was
in.
it was intermittent. It wasn't everybody's. So like
Right.
I didn't know what was happening. I was actually at work, and I've been multitasking, not on Facebook, but on Facebook. I've been on Marketplace. I've been cruising, like I got a free couch for the studio I'm building yesterday. But I was looking for stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I was responding and kind of corresponding with people who are selling things. And sometimes people who are selling things on Facebook Marketplace aren't the most honorable or admirable folks. I saw my stolen bike listed on Facebook Marketplace, for
Right.
instance.
Yeah.
Right. So, um, anyways, it was at work. I was multitasking. I had one screen, had Marketplace on, and then all of a sudden, like I was booted, and it wanted me to put my password in. Like I was like, okay. So I tried, and it didn't work, and I was like, hmm. And I was like, oh no. My first thought was, oh no, I responded to a message from some scam seller, and somehow it went, to one of those fake sites, put your password in. I was like, oh, I'm so
Right.
I was like, "Oh, I just fell for that," and I couldn't. So then
Yeah.
I tried to do it on my telephone, and it wasn't doing there either, and I was like, "Man," got a little bit worried for, like, a second, and then I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, hold on now," and I tried to think if I had, like, another Facebook account, like, maybe I thought I was locked out of my account. I thought somebody, like, took over and was, like, posting obscene nonsense or something. I don't know what they
Right. Right.
when they hijack your account.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Well, dang, this is dumb." But then it kind of realized that, well, hold on. I think this is like an outage. Hold on, wait. And so I kind of like Googled it, and I'm still at work, so I'm kind of like half worried about it, because I realize I'm not locked out of my account. This is like a whole thing.
Uh,
And it was like, yeah, Facebook's down. And I felt like some site came up. It was like, at the time, it happened at like 10:20. I remember. It was at 10:25. I was like, "Oh, I'm locked out." 10:30, I realized, "Oh, it's Facebook down." 10:35, it was like 330,000 reports of, no access to Facebook. Like
yeah.
over a quarter of a million people complaining. So I was like, "Oh, okay, it's just whatever, it's a server thing or something." Then, an hour went by, I had a meeting, got done, and then I checked again, and this time it said the Super Tuesday thing. It was like Facebook crashes Super Tuesday, intermittent, and I'm like, "Oh, it's like selective." It seems like maybe it's
Uh-huh.
selective, outage, like
Right. Right.
targeted outages across the nation for
Yeah.
Super Tuesday.
No, it's like I mean, I've had an Instagram account hacked. I lost my first Instagram account, which I wasn't heavily invested in anyway. I feel like that's
Mhm.
part of the reason it was able to be hacked. I don't know if that's the first line of what they're after is maybe accounts that aren't that active so they don't notice at first. But, whereas somebody that uses their account every single day, they're going to notice right away, and then maybe it's an issue. But nonetheless,
Yeah.
I've lost an account to Instagram, and it can happen on Facebook. I mean, you're supposed to change your password, every so often. I've done that, and the thing that's scary about it is like if you, I mean, I could only imagine that happening to something that you really did have like a huge fan base on, and you spent all that time building up that. I mean, that's money. I mean, that's some serious money, and it's going to be like a real challenge to get back all those people. You can't necessarily access all those people that found you. You don't
Yeah.
have that sitting as a list somewhere where you can begin. I mean, that is the difference between an email list for your website versus being on a social media site of whatever kind and having a lot of followers is that the email list, no matter what, you still got the whole list of people. You know, even if you were hacked and somebody sent out on your behalf, you
Mhm.
can still message those people from another email address or whatever.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes the point that you really can't put all your eggs in one basket on any singular social platform nowadays, because you could lose it. I mean, it can happen that fast. You could
Yeah.
literally lose your whole thing that you've built up, your empire of an online presence in this one medium, and if you don't have it built up somewhere else, you're screwed.
Yeah. And that's such a fickle thought, isn't it?
Hmm.
Like I the biggest thing I was worried about was photos. I have Facebook is a photo dump for me. So I have like
Yes.
pictures of my son, when my dad was alive, pictures of my son and my dad that only exist on Facebook right now.
Hmm.
So it's like,
Hmm.
oh man, that's what I was worried about. But some of these people, like you're talking about, like there's some like influencers or whatever you call them, like people who like that's their job, right? They get paid from their social media platform presence or whatever. And imagine if it just got shut off.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
totally.
not like those people, it's like a niche thing. I think, and I can't base it on my knowledge of people because I'm kind of like my head's buried in the sand on a lot of things. Like I have no idea. I have no idea how many very, very famous people there are that someone would look at me like I'm dumb for not knowing. Like I know there's like women who do makeup, right? That's
Oh
a
yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
And there's like some very famous ones, but I have no idea who any of them are. But that's not my thing. That's a niche, right? Like
Right, right,
I've been,
absolutely.
I've been watching videos on studio builds because I'm in the middle of building a recording studio in my backyard, and I'm going like the full gamut. And I really like the ones that are like the the smaller the smaller guys. And I don't mean to get off
Yeah.
topic. We're talking about Super Tuesday, but that each person on YouTube is like this wealth of like helpful videos. These are like there's small time people who are just trying to share like, oh, I figured out how to do this for really cheap. This is a really good cost effective way to do it. And I like those videos because that's where I'm at. I'm trying to save money. I'm not trying. There's other videos say where yeah, the best thing to do is to buy these sound panels from this company and they're the best on the planet. They're $17,000 a piece,
Right.
but they're just absolutely the best. And you have to have them. And there's like plenty of those types of videos where it's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm not that guy. But that's, so many of them and you got to kind of comb through them and filter through them. Comb filtering. Again, that's another topic that I learned on my video search. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
combing through all these videos, it's like, man, so many helpful people that make these videos, but the plays on them are pretty consistent. They're pretty even. Like, because there's
Mhm.
people like me who are looking and they're watching all of them. And so
Mhm.
like in the niche that I'm looking at, I'm seeing like between 5 and 15,000 plays typically on your average one. And then some of them, like the high end ones, are like over 500,000 plays on a couple of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but those are like the ones where there's like a guy that I started watching and I quit watching because it wasn't helpful to me, but it's interesting. And he just goes and tours famous studios and famous musicians' home studios. Like that's his
Are
whole
you talking
channel.
about, oh, but not Gerald Undone?
I have no idea what his name is. I've not.
Was he just on Beatos?
I have no idea.
Okay, it's been interesting because I mean I'll keep going in that direction. I've looked at a lot of different YouTubers in particular because that is the platform that I would like to have a presence on. Out of all of them, I mean that's the one that matters to me. I make videos for a living. I have a channel that has 3,700 subscribers on it, which is not much, but it's also still a lot compared to anything else I have going on. And it's the medium where I can have long form conversations and teach about video making and filmmaking and editing and all that fun stuff. And so I've watched a lot of these niche channels as well for years now and studying this and studying that. And the reason I asked if it was that guy, Gerald Undone, is because this is a guy that does camera and gear reviews and he's excellent at it. I mean, he's like, as far as detailed analysis, he's really at the top. I mean, him and a couple of other guys, he's right up there as one of the premier ones. And then he
Really?
started making a playlist where he started going to all these other video makers' studios and then doing breakdowns and reviews and behind the scenes of their studios. And I now here he is, and it's like at first it just started off as going and doing all this with video maker studios, but now I see him on Rick Beato's channel. He just did a review at Rick Beato, so he's crossing the threshold of all these platforms, and I think he's also doing other famous YouTubers. Period. Now it's expanded way beyond just going to other YouTubers that teach about making videos and talk about gear. That's where it started. He would go to their studios. Now he's doing famous YouTubers, period, of different genres, and he's traveling around the country and the world doing it. And this is just one of the playlists in his channel of teaching about video. So you don't know where it's going to go, and you can expand what starts off as a niche and build up your fan base. You can help hopefully take them somewhere else while also accruing new people and losing some people along the way if you get too sidetracked. But it's what a beautiful journey that ultimately is funded to kind of find where your interest is peaked. I mean, I think what it is that if you're an inquisitive person and you can you like finding out about a lot of information and telling people about it, that's a great, amazing start. And so what you hopefully want to find is a fan base that wants to follow you on that inquisitive journey that might lead from at one point video making to down the road you might be teaching about who God knows what, how to build a studio or something. I mean, who knows, so it's fun where it can lead, and you never know. But you do have to, it does seem like you have to start off in general. You really do. Your base has to start with a niche. And that is where we don't quite fit in as usual.
Yeah, we're not. Well, we have our own thing. We have a series that we've made ourselves with a rock album, and we have a podcast, or this MuseCast that we call it, where we talk about all sorts of stuff. We don't have there's a general theme to it, and it's usually self-performing in the arts and being an independent artist. And it all comes back to it. And his name is, Andrew Masters, by the way.
Okay, Andrew Masters. I haven't seen him yet.
His niche is epic studio tour. So it's, he goes through and does, because I'm looking at a lot of my search is like home recording studio design ideas, this or that. And his channel is more or less epic home studio setups of 2020, of 2021. And some of these people, like one of the ones I really liked was the band. I think the band was called the All American Rejects. If that rings a bell, it's like
that does ring a bell. I don't have.
Their guitar player had a home studio, and like this guy, so he gets invited to come and bring his camera, and he does videos and like explanational type videos, and goes and tours these home studio setups and talks about like the rooms and the design and the gear.
There's so much to talk about it, and you're 100% tapping into the entire fan base that is for that person in whatever genre it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you're maximizing everything about it. You get to go to every YouTuber or, famous person's pad who's got a fan base, and then you just let them know that you exist. And if they already knew that you exist, people love it because it's like a collaboration. It's like, holy shit, that guy, just like I was just fanboying out. It's like, I've watched this video guy start off, I found him around 30,000 subscribers. Now he's got like over 500,000, and he's going and doing YouTube. He's doing studio reviews of Rick Beato, who's got 4 million subscribers, But but he started off with just the one genre, and then again, bring it back to the Cue the Muses thing, which is our band, our show, our unique concoction. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the podcast, that's awesome. We really appreciate it. But you should check out our full actual web series if you have not seen it yet, because this is where we put all the effort into a production. It's a sci-fi comedy, but we're a rock band, and so we put music videos inside of each episode. No views but your own. episode features a new singer on each song that we unveil within the episode.
All unique singers from the Southeast region, most of them from right here in the Florida Panhandle, and all independent, unsigned, unknown artists until now. No matter how hard I try, turn it down. Premise of the show, Ash and I are a couple of bonehead guitar players living off the grid, trying to save humanity, which has been brainwashed from an artificial intelligence stripping us away of our creativity and our creative spirit.
We developed a mind travel machine to go into people's brains and collaborate with their inner muses, bringing back music that is completely organic from human muse collaborations. Enter Cue the Muses. You know what, we're kind of getting sidetracked, man. There's only so much time for frequency absorption. We need to hop on it. Can you fire up the cadence tubes?
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and get my shoes tied.
Okay. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the little bell. Tell YouTube that we matter, that you like us, and that you want to see more of us, because that's the only way that happens. Stay tuned.
What genre does that fit on YouTube, right? It's music videos, so it's a band, but then it's also a show. Oh, and let's throw in a podcast all on one channel. That's what we're doing. That's considered the no-no. You know, we're doing so many things, and we're probably going to also start a little review series. We're going to find music videos that are killer for the, you know, at the moment, and well, hopefully killer, that we hear are killer. Maybe we'll hold off on seeing them and we'll watch them for the first time and then discuss it, and some clips coming out. So we might have a review series as well. I think at the end of the day, Dick, what we have here, the Cue the Muses channel that we're trying to cultivate, is just content that's fun, that's oftentimes about rock, but it's also just about art in general, fun things that's happening. AI is a part of the artistic tool set nowadays, and it's a big part of the plot line of our show, us battling that evil AI. So that makes it relevant in so many ways. And then, we just have a lot of stuff. Hopefully it's a fun hub, and hopefully we'll have on more people for interviews coming up and stuff too, from other bands and just other forms of art. And in fact, there's a guy, well, maybe we'll have him on, who just reached out to me. He found some of my content, loves it. There was like some of the Trans Am Worldwide videos for the Chevelle and stuff. And he loved it. He wanted me to know of his presence, because I could hire their team for a project maybe in the future. If I had anything, he'd be interested in working with me on that level. And then he sent me his trailers and stuff. And this guy, I had no idea he was here in town. And he's a filmmaker, and he's obviously busted his ass. He's it's got Last Highway Films, and the first of his 3-part series of movies is called The Archivist. And man, it looks so much like it was Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, Grindhouse kind of thing, Machete. I mean, it's got all the cheese and coolness. It's got the Sergio Leone old Western stuff going on. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like watching, and he films everything with a legit old ass Arriflex that was used to film the old spaghetti Westerns back in the day on actual film. That's what he's offering me to hire, is their team to come out and film on reels of film and then convert it, and then I could get that look. And he's using these old vintage lenses that are like beautiful and gorgeous and creamy. I mean, these are like relics, and it's such a fucking different world of production than what I do with digital. I mean, digital is so much easier. It's like so much more straightforward, so many chances. Let me give you an example. Here's an immediate example of how much easier it is, how much more flexibility digital gives you.
Yeah.
I want to hire him for something. I don't have the project in mind exactly yet. When I'm looking at his footage, it's undeniable. It looks straight up like film. I mean, from the 1970s. It's unreal looking. I'm like, man, I really, right?
Like the good, bad, and the ugly stuff. Yeah,
dude, straight out of it. I mean, but it was filmed modern day with the bass player from Neil All Day and Further South. That's how we kind of crossed paths, is because I made them a music video years ago. Yeah. And I'm not like poo-pooing on this price range. This is totally realistic. This is just the way it is. It's just such a different way of working. One reel of film, okay? That's going to run you roughly somewhere between $350 to $400 to run that reel of film. On that reel of film, you're going to have to spend about $175 to $200 to convert it to get it over to a digital format. So then I can edit it. And so you're about $600 in. And on that reel of film, you can film for 8.5 minutes.
Wow. So $350 for just the film, just a roll?
$350 to $400
for the roll for 8 minutes worth of
8.5. That half matters at this point.
and now you're filming for 8.5 minutes. Now, how much of the 8.5 minutes is going to be used?
You have to do it. He's like, this is the real world of how film was. You had to rehearse. I mean, this whole improv thing of the way that we shot it with cameras running on tripods for an hour and us talking shit back and forth and trying to see and then me piecing it together.
You got to have you got to be rehearsed. And I read the other day, that's the difference. Bands practice and actors rehearse. So you're in a band and you're going to band practice. You can't say band rehearsal because that's not accurate. I'm guilty of that. I say rehearsal.
I've called it a rehearsal too, but that makes sense. But and another thing, and so we were geeking out on each other's content, sharing videos back and forth. We're going to get up and meet next month. And I feel like I told him flat out because it was so much up my alley with style. Yeah. And nobody has reached it. I get messages every other week from people that are interested in, working for Rough Cut or internships or letting me know about their services and that I can, work. And I'm not, and guys, if you're doing that, that's fine. It's totally fine. But I'm just saying, this is the first person that's reached out to me that has actually gone out and made something that is I feel like I'm watching something I would have made, and it's done with a medium that I don't know really much of anything about in reality with film. So I'm like, and he knows that he has to migrate more into digital. And so we might be an amazing exchange of information for each other, to grow each other's skill set and learn about the other tools and see what we come out of it with. But this guy, this is the kind of DP that I would absolutely love to bring on to a Cue the Muses shoot in the future because he's got a great eye. I mean, I'm like, man, like I said, we're geeking out on each other's stuff back and forth, like this is a very talented individual. So hopefully it's as cool as he seems in emails and as cool as his trailers look, but a very, very cool guy. So maybe that's an example. That was the longest winded explanation of maybe the type of person we might have on a podcast interview, and that's what this channel offers. Is that wide range of interviews with all kinds of different people that are actually just out there following through and making art,
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? There's people out there with great ideas, and I'm sure there's a quote that I don't know that involves, going the extra leap from the idea to the realization. And there, it's like Ahab, right? It's like Moby Dick, the story of Moby Dick, Captain Ahab. Sometimes it becomes an obsession, and that riding that line. I mean, Captain Ahab famously was very, very, very disturbingly obsessed with a vengeance quest. But there, it's just that mentality, that quest for completion, or the search for inspiration, whatever you want to call it. Like the people that do that, I feel like I'm one of those people, because when I get started on something, just like I was out in the shed working till midnight every night of the week, except the nights we do this. It's like, I have to get done. I'm Captain Ahab, and the studio is my white whale. And I'm sure that this person, what would you say his name was?
His name's Eric Hand.
Okay.
Shout out to Eric Hand. Regardless of if we do anything in the future, Eric Hand, your trailers are fantastic. Oh, and he's an amp maker.
And he's an amp maker.
I think he owns Royal Amps. He's been making amps since 2007, And he has
Loyal
some amp demos. I'll have to send them to you. They sound great.
Yeah, definitely send them to me. That's
Yeah.
that is absolutely a field.
And he's a
that
guitar player. I forgot to mention all that. Jesus.
so he was.
I'm
wait,
like, dude, are you a doppelganger or what? Like, I mean, the style of the footage and the playing and all, but his style is pretty different than ours. They're more like, not, I mean, older rock, bluesy, or a lot more soloing and stuff, but it sounds great. I mean, it's awesome stuff. Yeah. And the tone of the amp sounds killer.
I want to check it out for sure.
I'll send you some more of his stuff.
Yeah. And you said he was the bass player for Neil back in the day?
His bass player was the bass player for Neil All Day and Further South.
Okay. So
Dale Shumate.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever met him.
I was confused. I thought that was the same person. I was like, wait a minute, this guy's from Tallahassee so he's not.
And that's the thing. He said that his crew's in Georgia, but he is actually currently living in Tallahassee. So they get booked for a project of whatever kind, and then they'll go out to, they'll travel. And my understanding is that they're going to be back out in Nevada this summer, filming the third film of what is all a cumulative series. I haven't gotten to watch these films. I've only seen the trailer, so I think that's what it is. Now, how similar is that? I am working on the third chapter for Cue the Muses right now, and his thing might be being filmed while we're releasing our third chapter. I mean, there's some weird parallels going on here. I feel like we need to meet this guy.
It's in threes, man. It's in threes.
Yeah.
That's a good number. I like that.
I'll throw out one more crazy thing, and I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm just saying. It's just interesting. If he is out in Nevada this summer, I'm supposed to do a project in Arizona this summer for, for a client. I'm still waiting to see if I got the gig. We're negotiating now. Big project, be out there for at least 10 days. Not terribly far from Nevada. I mean, if he was out there filming,
there's a little bit of a border there, yeah.
Just a little bit. I mean, I'll be close. I just drove all that way to get to freaking Arizona, so I mean, it's like, how much further would I go? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd go out there and help for a couple of days or something, just to see what that's like with the film stuff, and and I'll have all my gear with me too.
That's awesome. Just keep in mind, because I'm from out west. Keep in mind, the states are a lot bigger over there.
Okay.
So, thinking drive from Florida to Georgia, no big deal. Well,
yeah.
From South Arizona to North Nevada is like driving from Florida to Ohio.
Oh, fuck that.
Just make sure of where you are and where he is, because potentially that could be not as close as you think.
You know how terrible I am with directions. I always say that I'm going down to Atlanta or I'm going up to Orlando,
Yeah. No,
so I don't know what I'm talking about.
I
just like making things happen, man.
No, you totally do it. You definitely. It's going to be, hopefully he's in Vegas and you're in whatever town is Northwest Arizona.
Yeah, we'll see. And I mean, it'd be a complete random fluke if it actually worked out that way. But nonetheless, regardless of any of all that, it's just cool to get to talk to another person that's been coming at it from such a different angle, and to really get to see firsthand, like, just that film look is so film, man. I mean, there's this part of me that I've kind of represented that it's like I can make my cameras look very similar to film, like to the point where it's like, come on, like what's the difference? But when you see the actual old film like that, and it's uncanny, I mean, it literally looks like it was shot right out of the 70s. It's like, yeah, I can't touch that. But I do question a little bit, though, how much of, there's a decent percentage that has to do with the lenses. That's a big difference. Those old cinema lenses.
You could put something on film, right? You can put anything on film, but if you're filming through a piece of junk lens, then that's all the difference.
It really could be, and it makes me wonder if I did invest in some vintage lenses, because I could mount those to my Red. I mean, that is what people do. I could get a PL mount, and I could literally go buy those. Now, I wouldn't get his exact lenses. I'm just saying lenses of exactly the same genre or whatever. I could track down whatever old vintage lens I wanted. And I do think that there's only one camera on the table for me that maybe I might get if I get all the car videos that are in negotiation right now. Then I would invest in this one other camera system. But if that did not happen before I would buy any more cameras, I really want to invest in glass, in lenses. Because those lenses, the cameras are kind of, it's diminished returns at this point on the camera quality. It's already so good. The lenses are holding me back, though. I mean, I've got great lenses, but there's no doubt about having the character of an old vintage cool lens. He's kind of inspired me to want to start researching and learning more about those old lenses, and I'd love to get my hands on. We could even rent some. That's normally what a movie production does, is they'll rent out a kit of lenses for the production, for the 4 weeks of production, and that ain't cheap. That's a full kit, but we could get like a couple of lenses for not like a crazy price. I could find some kind of deal if we wanted to try it, and really get, like, if we wanted to go get that look, try to get closer to that look. That would make a big difference than using these modern lenses that I've got.
I feel like that's the cross analogy is like thinking in a recording setting, audio recording setting, like reel to reel. It's like the same feel. Like there's a warmth. There's a warmth to the tone that's just, and then you're talking like with lenses, like you kind of like with like older microphones, like especially with drum mics. I did some research on drum mics, like Tom Tapley at West End Sound had this weird, it looked like a cigarette box or something, microphone in front of the kick. He's like, oh yeah, that's like, the like same kind of mic the Rolling Stones use, like from it's all stuff from the 70s, right?
It's a mic that's shaped like a box like that.
It's shaped like this. So like the sound comes in from the side and it's got this like oblong shape, like almost like a trapezoid type of shape. Really like picture like a mic you would see on a desk in like an old 50s like talk show, radio show, except the round one, not the round one, but like a rectangular one. And that's what it looked like. So like you're talking about these old school cameras and all that. It's
total parallel.
Yeah, exactly. And it's two sides of an artistic thing but I totally get the nerd, attraction to that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's fun to even get to, if you get the opportunity to explore, that's anything, right? Like if you're going to go deep into whatever, I mean, even just the physical guitars, right? Like the actual instrument themselves. We're talking about recording. I mean, an old guitar that's been around for, what's funny is like my ESP, I mean, that's a new guitar to me, but I was like, wait a second, I've had that thing for over 20 years. I remember picking up a guitar that somebody told me was like 20. I got that when I was 20 or whatever, I was like, wow, this guitar is like over 20 years old. I'm like, oh, my new guitar, my ESP, that's a 20-year-old guitar. I think it's 24 years old, man. I'm coming up on a quarter of a century how old that is. Isn't that crazy?
We're getting up there. I don't know how old Big Dave, because Big Dave's birthday is a week ahead of mine exactly. So my birthday's on Sunday. I turned 40, and he's a couple years older than me. I don't want to call him out, but he last Sunday was his birthday. But and the same, man, like I have the oldest guitar that I have it was my dad's guitar, and it's an old Yamaha, like similar to Amy's Yamaha, real similar. And it's one of those old, like, I think it's like a red sticker, just a beater guitar, but it's like from 1962.
Wow.
Old Yamaha, and like just cool old guitar. I don't play it much, it's just kind of just really, really neat, and it stays in the case, and sentimental stuff. But man, the same. I have the LTDs that I play that are the early 2000s, 25-year-old guitars.
Right? Exactly. That's crazy, right? Those are the new ones,
Yeah.
I've got my Ibanez, the one that you said you think is a Satriani model. The reason I don't know, I should look this up, but the The reason I don't know anything about it is I got it when I was in 6th grade. I didn't learn how to play it until, I mean, I tried for like
Yeah.
3 months here and then 3 months there, and that was it. The thing leaned against a wall forever. I thought it was warped and unrepairable because I didn't know anything about guitars, and I couldn't stay in tune anymore. But that thing was from 6th grade. That means I was like, how old are you in 6th grade? Isn't that like 11 or 12 or 10?
Yeah.
You know, so that thing's over 30 years old, you know. I don't even know when it was made. That's just when I got it, you know. Scott Tennyson's guitar shop here in Tallahassee, Florida back in the day.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
and
so
you know, I know it's a J, it's an S series, the JS, because Ibanez came on my radar. I remember because when I first read the name, I said Ibanez. Like I want one of those Ibanez's. My buddy Derek like was a little older than me. He's like a teenager, and
yeah.
he's like, "No, don't ever say that again. It's Ibanez." And I'm
I
like,
didn't know for the longest time either. Yeah.
when he said that, I said, "Oh, it's Mexican." Like, but they had the RG series was the Ibanez guitars that I knew, and it was like it was in that age where Korn was playing those Universe 7 strings. First Korn album just came out. I think I was like a 12 or 13-year-old kid. A buddy of mine stole it out of a guy's car in the neighborhood. Like there was an older teenager, and he took two
guitar
CDs.
or
No,
album.
The
album.
So
Okay.
the CD,
All right.
the CD.
Okay.
This is how I found out about Ibanez. This long, elaborate backstory. A friend of mine stole 2 CDs out of a guy in a band's car who was parked outside of a kid's house in the neighborhood. They were having band practice, and the boy is a little punk who lived in the neighborhood, stole them, but he gave them to me. And it was the Korn's first album, and it was Marilyn Manson's Sweet Dreams album. And I had these 2 CDs as like this 12-year-old kid, like, wow, this one got this creepy guy at the playground on the cover. And I know Marilyn Manson's super weird. And so I listening to Korn. So I start looking, and this is like early days of learning how to play guitar. Like I've been playing a couple months, and this stuff, I'm like, oh, the 7-string stuff's really cool. So I started looking at Ibanez guitars. And the RGs is like the same body shape as the Universe. The Universe was a 7-string designed by Steve Vai. And that's what the guys from Korn were playing, because they were the only ones that existed, I think. You know, like really, it was like a novelty guitar that wasn't intended for them to use it the way they were, but they were like, oh, screw it, we're going to take these 7 strings and play this really deep, weird stuff. And I loved it. And then I started looking at Ibanez. One of my first guitars was an Ibanez 7-string, but I was looking, the S series was the other one, is the RJ series, or the R series, and then the S series, the Satriani series, was more rounded and it's thinner, and that's the one that you have. The one I ended up getting was it was like an AX. It was more like an SG style. I really like SG shaped short horns. It was a SG or the AX, I think it was AX 707. I kind of wish I still had it, but I traded it and got the Epiphone Les Paul 7-string. And that's one of the oldest guitars that I still have. That is the oldest electric guitar that I have. That was like my main one, that Epiphone Classic 7-string. But I was like you're talking about, I was like 13.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, just the idea that, one, you were actually playing then, and 2, you were learning about the gear and stuff, because I didn't know anything when I picked out that Ibanez. All I knew was I was going to learn how to play guitar. My dad took me to Scott Tennyson's guitar, and the look of that one is the green Ibanez that's in the first episode that we're playing to grow the mushrooms.
Yeah.
If you guys want to reference it in the Key of the Muses chapter 1 episode. And I just thought it looked amazing. I just thought it looked great. And that's it. That's all there was to it. I didn't know how to test playing it or anything. I just thought it looked gorgeous. That one looks cool. That looks cool as shit. Like that, I'll learn how to play that. So I got that thing, and it's funny, I have the weirdest relationship with guitars. I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but since nobody's listened to all of our podcasts collectively, I will mention in a brief summary real quick, the next
mixed
guitar
them.
I got when I actually started learning how to play guitar was an acoustic guitar. It was a Gibson Epiphone. And I did not pick that guitar out either. I brought a friend with me who was a guitar player to help me fucking pick out one because I had no idea what to look for. But I knew that I could only afford like an acoustic guitar. Like I could get a better acoustic guitar for the price than an electric guitar for the amount of money I had. I had $250. And so he came across this Gibson Epiphone, played, and it's like, dude, this one feels like these like $600 guitars. It's like, it does? And it's like, yeah, this feels really nice. So I just bought it. That's the guitar I started to learn how to play on. Still a great guitar. I don't play it that much. I've got guitars that are a little bit better now. But nonetheless, he picked out a great guitar for me. And then the next guitar I got, I didn't pick out either. A gentleman that used to work at Music Exchange as one of the repair techs, Mike Sherlock, who I had a relationship for a series of years. We did some different things together. He recommended, I was like, I want to get an electric guitar. You know, I got him to fix up the Ibanez, but I was like, I don't know that this is, like, I'm kind of interested in getting like a different guitar. Cause I just, for whatever reason, and I'll tell you still to this day, even with all the years of playing that I have, for me, that Ibanez is still not my comfort zone in comparison to my other guitars. I cannot, the way the bridge is, I can't rest my hand the same way. I can't get the same kind of palm mutes. I'm not saying that it can't be achieved. It's just,
it's a Floyd Rose, or it's like a Floyd Rose style. So it's got a whammy. It's got a floating. It's called a floating.
It used to
whammy. Yeah. But it doesn't have it anymore. Is it like fixed now?
Well, I got that guy, Mike Sherlock, had invented something he called the Z bar or Z plate. It was called a Z plate.
Yeah.
And so he turned it into a fixed bridge for me because I could not keep the damn thing in tune. And anyway, now I'd like to get that thing pulled off and turn it into a whammy. Then I need to do that. But nonetheless, I didn't pick. He recommended an ESP EC1000, so I ordered that guitar. They did not have one there. I ordered it in the mail, and it arrived there at Music Exchange. I went and picked it up.
Yeah.
And then the next guitar I ended up with was the Gibson Les Paul 1967 reissue, I'm sorry. Which is like an insane guitar. It is, for tone, it is the best guitar I have. There's just no denying the tone of it. Every time I go to it, I'm just like, God, this thing sounds so right. Yeah. And my father-in-law gave me that guitar because he ended up with it on a trade-out deal. So I didn't pick that guitar out either. Okay. And then the only guitar that happened in between there is I went and I did pick out an acoustic Taylor. Yeah. Okay. Between those two guitars, I picked that out. But that's it. I've never picked out my own electric guitar. And then the last guitar I got is another acoustic. And I played your guitar once. I was like, that's pretty good. What model's that? I look it up. There's a sale happening on the concert model, which is just your model, but slightly smaller. I ordered it in the mail. I got another guitar that I never played and now own.
It's a but it's a Yamaha acoustic.
And it's a Yamaha. Yeah. It's a Yamaha acoustic. ACR 130 or 30.
Yeah.
ACR 30.
You got the M. The ACM.
Okay. ACM.
Because you have the mahogany. That's it. You got the mahogany. I got the rosewood. The R is for rosewood. The M is for mahogany. But they're great. They're Yamahas. I mean, I strongly advocate for Yamaha. Everything. Yamaha makes great everything. I mean, you talk about outboard boat motors, right? Amazing. The best are Yamahas. You know, my studio monitors, Yamahas. Acoustic guitars, Yamahas. They make electric guitars. That's the next guitar purchase I want. They make like a Rev. Yamaha makes a REV guitar, just a super cool. I want one, like for no other reason other than I think, like you said, I think they look cool. I think they're sweet. It's a Yamaha. I have I have two Yamaha acoustic guitars. I love them. And then drums. They make some of the best drums in the world. It's insane.
Yeah, and dirt bikes.
Keyboards and dirt bikes and pianos.
Dirt bikes is where I knew about him first because I grew up around my stepbrother racing dirt bikes with Ricky Carmichael back in the day.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He was on Kawasaki, not Yamaha.
Those are the green ones.
Yeah, that's right. And Honda was like the pink red, and then Yamahas were white and Suzuki's were yellow. We went to all those big motocross events, supercross events across, all up and down the Eastern Seaboard. I saw so much motocross growing up. Never did it myself. but the reason I was interested in getting the Yamaha acoustic was I tested yours for a minute, but I knew that I was interested in Yamaha because my wife has a Yamaha her dad gave her, same dad that gave me the Gibson Les Paul. This guy just finds guitars over his life and gives them away. He was so giving, such a giving guy. And that guitar that she ended up with, pawn shop guitar. I mean, he found it at the pawn shop, and it had Dick, literally the name Dick engraved into it. Somebody had scratched the word Dick into the body of the guitar, and that guitar was my favorite acoustic guitar on the premises. All three of my acoustics and I was like, this guitar is the best. This pawn shop guitar, I can play stuff on this guitar I can't play on any other acoustic. I love this acoustic. So I was like, I need to get a Yamaha. I don't know if the only reason I didn't get the same model as that one, but newer, is because it doesn't have the cutaway. And I need to get up higher on the frets, and that's one of the things that's held me back on liking acoustic. And so, so I got your model, and I like it a lot, but I recently like it even more because I lowered the action all the way to the point where the strings were buzzing. I was like, yeah, this feels right. Now, how do I brought it just to the point where the buzzing almost all stops, and that's where it lives. And now I like playing it. I'm like, fuck it. I don't care if it buzzes if I can play everything I want to play on it. This is the guitar I like more. So I just let a little buzzing be there, and it's part of the sound.
Yeah. It's a little bit of buzz on an acoustic guitar is just character.
Right.
It's
a little bit of film grain.
Yeah. I'm not a stickler, and I'm not a pretty like music. I like pretty music. I love pretty acoustic guitar, but like gritty still. Kurt Rogers, it's weird with Yamahas. Kurt Rogers found a really, really cool Yamaha acoustic guitar. It was in a pawn shop. Same thing.
Okay.
So this has been a couple years back, and he texted me a picture of it. He was like, hey, what do you think of this guitar? And I looked at it. It's white. And I was like, what's the model on that? I've never seen one look like that. It looks similar to ones I've seen, but not exactly. I'm like, so I had him take a picture. I look it up, and it's like this 1980s or 90s like series Yamaha. And he's like, man, this thing plays really good. I think I need, and he ended up getting it, and he named it Mr. White. Mr. White.
Oh, nice. I didn't know he named it that.
Yeah, Mr. White. So it's like, I'm like, but it's just one of, if not the best playing acoustic guitars I've ever played. Is just insane. And I think it wasn't, I mean, I don't want a price drop on him, but I only think he paid like $600 for it or something.
Yeah. That's great.
Like, and when you play it, it feels a lot, some Taylors and like some of these high-end guitars, they go way on up, and sometimes you're buying the name, but back something built in the 90s or in the 80s like that, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, I wonder when this Yamaha that Amy has was built. I mean, honestly, that guitar is still my favorite if it had a cutaway. I mean, there's just something about my hand, what I play, and that guitar, but it's her guitar. And so I was like, I need my own. I need to be able to take it where I want to take it, and I need it to have a cutaway, and I need to be able to plug it in. If given the opportunity, at some point I'd like to perform with an acoustic, so I needed to be able to plug it in. So I went, but I really like the guitar I have. It's just exactly my point being the pawn shop random find, price doesn't necessarily equal amazingness, I mean, it's like there is something about mojo in an instrument. And as much as crazy as it sounds that I haven't picked out my guitars, I do feel like each one of them ended up with me for like destiny. It's like I ended up with these guitars. Like, I mean, granted, even if I bought them, these are the ones I ended up with. These are the ones that my journey has been with. And and the songs that have been written have been with those guitars. So it's like I know from, and we've talked about this multiple times, whatever instrument you pick up, you will come up with different material on it versus another instrument. It's just the
Yeah.
way it's going to go. There's like an energy to it. There's a way it fits your hand. There's a mood, the moment, the setting, everything ties together into that experience. And you're just going to have different material. It doesn't mean that it's better, but if you do come up with stuff that you really like and you feel connected to it, then that is the instrument for you, or that is one of the instruments for you. I don't think you need to limit yourself to one instrument, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's magic there. Recognize it.
We talked about that a little bit in a previous episode where, an artist doesn't have to be proficient in an instrument to write music on an instrument that they don't know how to play. If you're,
Mm-hmm. Very true.
in that there's things that speak to you, like there's like the harp that I got, I got this stupid recorder, right? There's a wooden recorder I keep right here. I don't play recorder, but it's this wooden thing, and that's the only thing I do on this thing, and I love it. I love it, and every time I play that, it takes me back to, I took this thing with me on a kayak trip in the mountains up in North Carolina on the
Yeah.
Nanda Taylor, whatever, with the kids, and we're all on these kayaks, and I would just like wait till it's all beautiful, serene, and quiet, and I'd bust out the recorder.
Everyone would be like,
the
what the
beautiful
fuck is that?
sound of the recorder echoing through the majestic mountains.
Nice.
But, yeah, and I 100% agree. Cost, if you want to buy the most expensive thing of something, fine, do whatever. Yeah, everybody's different. Some people really enjoy nice, and I like fancy things, I guess, sometimes. But the guitar that I have, that speaks to me, that I have the deepest connection with, that is absolutely the guitar I've written the most music on. Yeah, like if I had to pick one guitar, like if I'm going away for a year and I can only have one electric guitar, it's the cheapest one that I own. Is a $250 used guitar. I walked in to the guitar store, and the old manager used to work there at Guitar Center in Tallahassee. His name was Dez. Walked in, and it was a LTD Horizon 250. It's $250 used, as an Indonesia made guitar. It's not anything fancy. And I was like, "Ooh, that's the H, the Horizon," and it had the 6x6 headstock that I like. I was like, "Man," I saw it on the wall first, and I was like, "That's exactly the kind of guitar that I've been looking for." Like, because I've been looking at them in magazines. I'd never seen one because they were kind of hard to come by before the Guitar Center was in town, and this used one was there. And I asked Des if I could pick it up, and I held it, and I started playing it, and I don't really know guitar stuff. And then I handed it. He was like, "Can I see that?" And as soon as he did it, he said, "Oh man," he said, "this neck is really good." And I was like, "What does that mean?" Like, what does it mean? And the neck's really good. And then or what, it's just comfortable is what it is. Like it fits me. The bridge fits me. Like you're talking about, my hands fit it. And it's really buzzy. Like the way I have it set up right now, it's super buzzy. It's like, but it works, and it's buzzy. And the stuff that I altered about it, it's gone through a couple iterations with pickups. The first one I put in was a dime bucker, and it sounded so fucking good with the dime bag pickup. And then I put a Seymour Duncan Nazgul in it, which is another ceramic magnet. So the dime bucker is a ceramic magnet pickup. Then the Nazgul, another Seymour Duncan, is another ceramic magnet pickup. They're like for metal. And I can't explain this until the next pickup I put in it was the Pegasus, which was the original name for the AI in our show, the Pegasus. And, I put the Pegasus pickup, which is a Linko 5 magnet. And a Linko 5 magnets in these passive pickups are more like your older traditional, like your Gibson, the PAF pickups that are probably in that. Those are, I believe, are going to be a Linko 5 magnets.
Well, 500 Ts are the pickups in my.
So
Is that
I
still
believe.
similar?
Let me see. I think it is, but I don't want to
I'm
misspeak.
genuinely
Over.
curious because I'd like to redo my Ibanez. I had put EMG pickups in it and I had locked down the free floating bridge, and I want to undo that and put in different pickups and make that guitar sound like but I wanted to
So
be closer to my
five-
Gibson, more vintagey.
so 500T suit the 500T super ceramic. So they're actually ceramic pickups.
Okay.
The one I'm looking at right here, and it's so weird how they're so different, right? Like the Nazgul doesn't sound anything like the Dimebucker, but then the Pegasus and the Nazgul kind of came out together, and they were marketed as the Nazgul is for metal, and the Pegasus is for progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, I want the one for metal. And this is where
Mm-hmm.
I was at. Now I want the one for progressive. And
Mm-hmm.
but when I put the Pegasus pickup in there, it's not as high output. It's like a lower output. And I just started realizing that I like the low output pickups way, way more. Even like stock pickups in like lower end guitars, like these low output pickups, like something about the super high output, like EMG, like active EMGs and stuff. They're great. They do this thing that doesn't, and it sounds great. It's just for me with what I like doing with guitars, with coil taps and doing single coils and things like that. I like all these things to change the sound without changing the channel. And I just
Mm-hmm.
feel like the ceramic pickups were missing something when I would start changing the tones. And when I would,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I would coil tap it, it's just something about it didn't sound to my ear as good as what the Pegasus pickup did. Like everything I did with the Pegasus sounds great as a humbucker. Coil tap sounds great as a single coil. Roll the volume back to like 2 on the guitar, sounds great, cleans up real pretty to play clean stuff on a distortion channel.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it I just liked, and that was what opened the door for me to start messing with. Like I've ordered a couple of custom shop Seymour Duncans. Like I designed, the parameters on it. It's like 15.7K output or whatever. I don't even know what that means, but that's what it is. And it's like that is the I have 2 of them that I named Chiron pickups, and they're like the Pegasus. They're a little darker and they're a little thicker, and it's noticeable. Usually pickups aren't that noticeable, but I have 2 guitars that are almost identical. The 250, and then I have a 1000 that has the Chiron in it. And Jason Cupp was over here in my studio with me, and I was like playing the 250, and I was like, I think we just needs to be a little chunkier in the chugs, right? It's like a jun 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 jun. I was like, I'm gonna use the other guitar. I'm gonna use the 1000 because it's got the Chiron pickups a little thicker. And as soon as I changed it, played, he could hear it. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
usually the pickups don't make that big a difference, but
Okay.
these sometimes they do. Like he was like, man, yeah, that one's thicker. That one's got a lot more bass in it. And it's like, yeah, it's just a fatter sound. And
Uh-huh.
it's all in like what that's the fun part about like tracking and like getting set up when you have the time to do it. Like you think, okay,
Yeah.
this song needs this or that. That's why I'm on this Captain Ahab mission to get the space built. Cause like in here, the whole rabbit hole I went down, like with the room and diffusion and frequencies and reflections and all that. I'm in a room where this wall over here is super close, and the next wall over here is about 20 foot over there. So I'm getting like early and late reflections on the audio in here, and the amps, and it's like a hardwood floor, super low ceiling in here. It's only like
Totally.
7, and it's like I got to get a space set up where I can really go down the rabbit hole of tones. And not to say I get bad. I know how to find the tones I'm looking for, even in this space. A lot of it comes
Oh,
from
but it's going to be every level is going to be better about it because it's like the space is dedicated to it. The
yeah,
energy, the headspace, the ability to tweak and test putting things in different places and leave it there.
yeah,
Not having,
yeah,
you have the expansion opportunity to rearrange completely if you come up with a different way of approaching it. It's going to be absolutely. Like the only issue that you're going to have with it is having enough time to get back there as often as you're inspired to go back there. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's going to be too cool.
Yeah. And you said it right there, a dedicated space for the creativity. That's a big thing. I mean, that's a huge priority to have as an artist, like to have that space where you feel that way. Cause like in my living room, I have 2 guitars hanging on the wall in the living room. I rarely, if ever, mess with them because they're in the
Right.
living room. In
Right.
the living, you find
Same
yourself
thing.
dedicated, to modes, right? You get in modes like you're in this room, in the living room. Oh, I'm hanging out with the family, watching TV, playing some video games,
Yeah.
reading comic books or something. It's not the guitar playing room,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
family time, you got to dedicate a space where, okay, when I go in here, this is the creative space. This is where the magic happens. There's something to that. That phrase came from a real happening somewhere.
Yeah.
This
Well, it's there's a cool book. Sorry. I'm like coughing right into the mic, called The Art of oh darn it. Oh man, I can't. It's a play on the art of war, but it's the art of oh my god, it's by Stephen Pressfield. It's the art of blank. And anyway, in the whole book is yeah, Stephen Pressfield, the art of, and the rest will fill itself out. And it's all about the muse. It's all about paying respect for the muse. I read this.
The War of Art.
The War of Art. The War of Art. It's a cool book. I like it. I like Rick Rubin's book even more. I feel like it goes deeper and is more philosophical, but I really appreciate what this book, The War of Art, has to say, and that it's like I read this book while we were making Cue the Muses. So we already had this concept, and here's this book that's talking all about making the effort to you have to give the muse its opportunity. You have to pay it respect. It might visit you if you don't give it the time, if you don't make this place for it, all of that, and it's about showing up every day, same time, if you can. I have like a similar time slot, and you're going to sit there with that pen and paper, or you're going to, whether it's writing or it's music or whatever the creative endeavor is, and you're just going to be there at that time, and you're going to put down something, whatever it is, and maybe it'll visit you, maybe it won't, but once you start giving it that respect, it starts visiting often, and then you become this opportunity, for that art to kind of come through. And I think it's like you're if you wanted to make it more internal and not an external thing, like some kind of visitation or expression of the universe, you could just look at it internally and just think you are personally, directly letting your brain be dedicated to this one thing, not be sidetracked by these other things. This is what you are here for. You're training yourself, just like you get into a routine of working out. You're here, you're going to get your workout in, you're going to do this, you're going to follow through with this. And then once you start getting momentum, when you go in, you can get in the swing of a workout almost immediately. It's not like you're figuring things out or setting things up or coming up with what you're going to do and, meandering. Like, you know how to go in, get it done. Your brain gets into that mode. Same thing. You walk into the bathroom, you're going to take a crap. Your butt's already ready to release the second it sees that toilet, because it's been programmed to react.
You're ready to go.
You know what I mean? It's like you've been holding it all day, and the second you see that toilet, you may not be able to get to the point of having your pants down fast enough, because
it's just there. It just comes naturally.
It knows that's what you're here for. So on that note, we could go on forever, but dude, it's 11:40 at night. I got a ton of edits to do. We passed our hour. You close us out, man. I dominated that last part, taking us all the way to the toilet.
Well, all the way to the toilet. I mean, I think that's the end of it, guys. Thank you for watching. This has been episode 31 of the MuseCast. If you don't know, Ash and I have a episodic series on YouTube that you can watch for free called Cue the Muses, where Ash and myself are fighting to save humanity from an artificial intelligence that has generated a song that is brainwashing humanity and stripping us of our creativity. And We are just a couple of idiots trying to figure out how to make music with somebody's inner muse and mind travel and do all sorts of fun stuff. It's all independent, all free to watch. Check it out. Thanks for hanging out, guys. That's my out. We're out. Peace.
Peace, guys.